All right, today's piece is coffee table, marble top, and we're going to show you how to paint marble. Today, we're going to start with the fun stuff, cleaning. Every piece that you do, you got to start out and give it a good bath. So I have got a TSP cleaner and warm water, and you pretty much just want to wash. Get all the grease and grime and stuff off of it so that you've got something for paint to stick to. And then we're going to give this a coat of what they call slick stick, which is a fabulous Dixie Belle product, slick stick. And this is for everything that you want to paint that's not wood, not real wood, like marble, like glass, like metal, the hardware for your furniture, because it's a primer that will make your paint stick and not peel right back off. Okay, now we've cleaned the piece, and after I use the TSP cleaner, which you can get at Home Depot or any store out there, Ace Hardware, I turned around and rinsed it with clear water because the TSP cleaner will leave just a little bit of a residue on there. And then we're going to go with Dixie Belle Slick Stick. Dixie Belle also makes a cleaner called White Lightning, but I just don't happen to have any at the moment. The Slick Stick is, look how thick this primer is. I mean, it's going to cover everything. And this is a new jar, and I want to make sure that it's all stirred up because it tends to separate a little bit over time, and you want all the goodies in there. So, I'm going to get a brush and paint it on. I've got a zebra brush, a 2-inch angled brush here, one of my favorites. And we'll get this puppy out of the way. And we're just going to paint it on. I'm only going to paint the top, the marble, because the legs and the base are wood, real wood. So we don't need to, and I don't think it's a bleeder. So I don't think I got to prime it with anything. I think I can just go in and start painting, which will be good. Because I can get that done this afternoon. But you just paint it on just like any primer. We're going to do 2 coats of this. And what happens is that you put the first coat on. It'll dry fairly fast. In fact, the first part of it will probably dry before I'm finished. But we'll wait a little bit to let it dry really good. Put the second coat on. And then unfortunately, we're going to have to let this sit overnight and really let it harden up. And you just want to get it coated over everything. You don't want to overwork it because it'll start coming off on your brush if you overwork it too much. And as smooth as possible because this is a smooth surface. There's a smooth surface. Say that quick 3 times. And there's really nothing to distract your eye, no carvings or anything. So everything we want to do, we really want to get on nice and smooth. So we're just going to paint, stretch it out a little bit, get the edges, make sure there's no drips, no pooling, you know, the typical painting issues that you want to be careful of. So this is my first time painting marble, and it is a very slick surface. So I'm kind of excited about it. I love marble, but this look is just not what we're looking for right now. So keep motoring around. All right. Nice Friday in Atlanta, January weather, and I think it's 60 degrees outside, which is really exciting. Whoops, here's a hair. Surprise. All right, we're gonna get that out. We're gonna try and get it out. Try and get a hair off a marble table. And you're half blind. All right, I think we got that guy. So, and I'm gonna do a black and white surprise stripes on the base. And then I got a couple different ideas for this top. I know it screams for a resin pour, which I am not ready to try yet. That's a little more advanced and a huge mess. So we may wait till the summer till we can get outside and do things like that outside. But I was hoping this would be kind of a quick piece that we could just get done in a couple of fast steps. But slick stick's got to dry for 24 hours before you put paint on. So that's pretty much all for right now. I'll see you right back here when we're ready to go to the next step. Okay, I'm back. Just misting my brush. These misters are wonderful. Not a spray bottle, but a mister bottle. So it's just really tiny, tiny mist of water, not big giant droplets. Today's plan is going to be to paint the base in a black and white stripe. So Caviar is the blackest of the blacks of Dixie Belle paints. It's really yummy. I really like it. We're going to start with the white, which is Fluff. Now this is one of the other furniture artists that I'm absolutely in love with. She says Fluff is her favorite white. Cotton has been my favorite white, but I don't have any cotton, strangely enough. So we are going to try the Fluff and see how that works out. I'm also thinking of doing the legs with, my favorite right now is Gemstone Mousses, and this is the golden. And it's a very thick, moussey, very highly pigmented, very shiny for the legs. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. We're going to see how things go at this time. So the plan is to start with white, cover everything, and then do 2 coats of that, and then we'll show you how to do stripes.
TV make Golf Kilo, make a left turn taxi to parking.
Alright, and I've got my little mini brush here that I just really enjoy because it gets in all the crevices because it's on an angle and it's easy to hold and less stress on your hand because you're not waving around a big giant brush, but it's big enough to get in all the areas. Now because I'm doing white, I'm really paying attention to my paint strokes. I want them all going the same way. You kind of want to minimize any residue brush strokes. But your first coat, you just want to get on. They always call the first coat the ugly coat because it's just the first start. You notice I pulled off the marble top and set it behind. It's curing with the slick stick on it. And we'll go back after we do the first coat of this. We'll just kind of go back and forth on this piece. We did the slick stick on the top. We're doing the Fluff to set down a base coat on the wood. And I don't have to prime this at all. I don't think this is a bleeder piece. It's real wood. So this may be one of the easiest jobs I've had yet. And we're just going to get all the way down. And I'll get back to that in a second. I'll come down and do this. And another nice little trick to know is that I am going to be doing a couple of coats of slick stick. So when you're doing a couple coats or you're in the middle of a project, but you're going back and forth, you're going to want to not let your brushes dry out, but I don't want to run around and clean them every 5 minutes. So you can stick them in a Ziploc bag and it'll keep it moist, and then you can go back and do your next coat on it and then not have to really wash it till the end of the day or the end of your project. So that's a little quick tip. And I get all the legs. With the Dixie Belle chalk paints, you use the mister also to spread the paint a little further, but on the first coat, I tend to not do that. I want a good solid coat because white sometimes can take up to 3 or 4 coats to get full opaque coverage on a piece. We'll see, hopefully it won't take that many here. It looks like it's going on pretty good, which is really exciting because if I can go down to 2 coats, that would be great. When you're doing stripes, your base color, you're actually going to tape them off, and then to keep it from bleeding under the tape, which I'll talk more about later, you're actually going to paint another coat of paint on top of the tape before you go in with the stripe color, which is going to be black. So I'll effectively have 3 coats of paint on the piece. So if I can do 2 coats and then start my taping, that would be great. This paint dries in about 20 minutes, unless you're in a real moist area. But it makes for quick work so you can get a project done, you know, me, maybe not in one day, but at least I can get it done effectively a lot quicker. So I'm just going to go around and pick up all of this and do a coat of white, and then I'll see you when I'm done. Good afternoon, campers. So we are continuing to work on our coffee table. I've got the top, which was marble, that we have disassembled. So that has got 2 coats of slick stick on it, which is a primer, and 2 coats of fluff, which is the white that I'm using, which is kind of a softer white than I'm used to using, but it looks really pretty. Is it focusing?
No, not too well.
Try this.
That does.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to show you how to do stripes today. So I have gotten started on the other sides of the table, which I'll show you do the big reveal in a minute, so you're not completely bored out of your mind. But to paint really pretty, perfect stripes, all right, get down here, and you got your painter's tape. You got to decide how wide you want your stripes. And what I do that I learned from somebody else is that you want to detack the tape a little bit because you don't want to pull your brand new paint off. And this has got 2 coats of fluff on it. And what I'm going to do is just eyeball the center line on this and tape it real hard. Tape it, but then we're going to burnish it a little bit, which is just a fancy word for making sure that it's stuck down, because we don't want any paints seeping out underneath the edges of the tape. And then to know I'm doing an even stripe, you take another little piece that's the same width, and that way you know without measuring, because measuring gets to be really tedious. So we're gonna go and just tape off so that all of our stripes are even. And there, you can't, I don't know if you can tell on this, but this piece has got, it waves in and out a little bit, which is kind of cool effect, but it makes it a little bit harder when you're playing with the tape. to make sure that it's set. So there, we got that one. And we're gonna come on this side. And since I cheated last night and stayed up and did the other 3 sides, so you could see the fun part of the striping, we don't have that much to do. I just have to undo the tape. So I know, there. All right. I know that all I need is to just start at this edge, and that's as much room as I'm gonna need. All right, we're not going for perfection because it's gonna be underneath the table, but I wanna make it look good. So we're about even on those. And we're gonna come on this side and we're gonna take this off. And again, we go around this little crease. And what I want to make sure is that it's tight on that end. And then I got one more. All right, so the secret to painting perfect stripes. Everybody's got their secrets, but the one that I learned that I like a lot is not only do you have to burnish the tape, make sure it's stuck down, is then we're going to go back with our base color, which is the fluff, the white. I'm going to soak my brush a little bit. I want it a little bit wet. And we're going to take just a little bit of paint and we're going to burnish it along the tape lines, which just means we're going to paint right along the paint lines, and if any paint is seeping under the tape, it's going to be white because what's under here is going to stay white. And you don't need a lot of paint, but you just want to do a nice little smooth edge. Blend it in with the existing coats of paint. And then that way you've got a seal. So the black that we're going to go over it with will not hopefully get underneath that raw edge of the tape because we've sealed it with the white, with our base color. So that's a pretty easy step. And then we're going to let that dry for a few minutes. Do that one. Come up and do that one. Make sure it's smooth. Just a real tiny bit of paint is all you need. All right. So now our edges are burnished. And hopefully we'll have no seepage underneath, because there's nothing worse than doing nice stripes and then you pull it off and you got a lot of repair work to do. So that is what we've done there. I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes, and in the meantime I will show you what we did so we can see the fun part. All right. And the fun part is, I'll show you the short end, because sometimes this detail work can be really boring to watch. All right, so what I'm at right now, just pretend that we're on the other side, and I painted a coat of the caviar, which is the black. So I burnished it, that's, you can see the white on there, and then I painted the first coat of black. But we're gonna do a second coat of black right now. And that should be all that we need, is 2 coats of black. And we will have our black and white stripes. All right. And again, you know, we're trying to go in the same direction. When you're painting now the black, you don't want to paint it this way and force that paint underneath the tape. You want to just go along the edges and make sure it's nice and smooth. Nice smooth strokes. You could use a bigger paintbrush, but I really love this as an excuse to use an artist brush. It makes me feel like an artist. And plus you don't have as big of brushes to wash later on. That's really the truth of it. These brushes take about 2 seconds to clean up. I got my scrubby soap that I'll tell you about another time. It's like a miracle. Because it makes cleanup so easy and it doesn't destroy my hands. And this is an embellishment that anybody can do. I know a lot of the artist techniques get to be really, really complicated, but my point in doing these videos is to say, hey, if I can do this, you can do this. And you can take a piece of furniture that really wasn't fitting with your decor and do something really cool with it. And that is it. All right, and then what you want to do is close up your paint, because I did spill a jar of paint the other day because I didn't close it right away. And set that up, and now we've got the big reveal. So you want to pull your stripes, your paint, your tape off your stripes while it's still wet. Get it done right away. And ooh, those are so pretty. I don't know about you, but I love black and white stripes. Always have. Can't tell you how many black and white pieces of clothing I've bought over the years with stripes on them. There's just something clean and crisp about it. Now, how easy is that? Ta-da! Pretty cool. So we're going to continue to do that all around the other sides of the table. And I won't bore you with doing all of that, but we will come back. Put the second coat on, pull the tape off, we'll be done. And then I will put the first coat on this other side, and we'll see you later. Good afternoon. All right, we're back. We got our stripes all done all the way around the base of the table. And while you were gone, I painted the legs in the gold Dixie Belle Gemstone Mousse, which is a highly pigmented, kind of like a gold leaf, but it's better because it's water-based. There's no VOCs in it, doesn't smell funny, and a little goes a long way. I mean, a long way. I hardly used any, not even, just a little bit of dab. It just really stretches pretty far. So we did all 4 legs in that, and we did the stripes, which I showed you earlier, a start of it. Now we're going to go ahead and put the top back on and show you what I'm going to do to the top. Okay, we got the top on, and what I have done is that I've taped off the edges because I don't want to get too sloppy, and I've taped the top because I want to do a black and white on the top, not necessarily stripes, but I want to do more of a diamond pattern, a little bit of a harlequin. So I'm going to end up rimming this in the matching gold to here with the gemstone mousse, and then I'm going to go ahead and do kind of half of it in black and then white and then black and then white. So I went and taped it off, just 2 long pieces of tape. I eyeballed where the center was, and you kind of have to come a little bit off center because of the width of the tape. And then I only had to burnish half of the tape because the only part I'm going to paint is right here and right here. So I'm not worried about this part and this part. And then again, I only taped off here so my black doesn't slosh onto the side, and that'll be gold. I didn't do it over here because I figure I can be better with the gold with a detail brush than I can with the black. So that is where we're at right now. And we're gonna go ahead and get started on, we'll do 2 coats of the caviar because that's what we started with. Nope. Here, focus in.
I don't know. It's not coming in very well.
Okay. Anyway, it's caviar. It's black. It's Dixie Belle. It's not anything crazy amazing. And I am going to start painting, but I think I'm going to get, hang on just one sec. I'm going to get a little bigger brush than the artist brush. All right. So we're going to go ahead and dampen our brush, which is standard. We've got caviar. We don't really need that much of it, but we're going to end up probably with 2 coats to cover this. And we're just going to paint in the direction of the tape. So we're not pushing tape underneath. If you remember, I talked about lining the sides of the tape. You not only burnish it down with your fingers, but you then go ahead and line the tape with your base color. And I gotta be careful I don't go over the edge of the tape to the other side. And we'll just get this on. And if you'll notice the tape, it's kind of like, what's wrong with this picture? The tape comes to a point, but in reality, where we're painting is not going to be a point. And I'm not real worried about that because what I'm going to do when I get done with the black is I'm going to put a big gold medallion right in the center. So that'll cover, in fact, I found this nifty little thing in one of my drawers in the basement, and I'm just going to go ahead, instead of trying to hand paint it, which I've done before, I'm just going to paint a gold circle right over the middle, and that'll cover all the raw edges, so to speak. So we'll go ahead and get this started, and this is so quick. I mean, there's a lot of different techniques that you can do, but I wanted something to try, something that wasn't going to take, you know, a lot of time, a ton of talent. This anybody can do. It's just kind of like paint by numbers almost. So I want to make sure I'm getting my corner. And then come on back, and we're going to fill this in. And as I mentioned before, the Dixie Belle paint dries pretty fast, so there's a shot that by the time I'm done with this side, I go from this side to the other side, that I could immediately go right into putting my second coat on. Well, I gotta tell you, this is pretty darn good coverage. I'm wondering if I can get away with not 2 coats. But because it's a coffee table, it's gonna get some good use. We're gonna wanna, more is better, is what I'm gonna say, with a piece that's gonna get use. I'm not worried about the sides, you know, I'm not gonna get people kicking the sides of it, but on the top, we wanna make sure that we've got enough layers. And then we're gonna do several top coats on top of this, and I'm probably gonna use their Dixie Belle's hardiest top coat, which is Gator Hide. Now I'm feeling my paintbrush drag a little bit, so I'm gonna put a little more water on it. You can also spritz the surface, but it's just a personal choice. Sometimes I do one, sometimes I do the other. And we're just gonna come across here and finish that off. Make sure we got some nice long clean strokes, and then I've covered all the tape. All right, halfway done with one side. Oh, now I got the back side. So this is going to be kind of a fun piece. I've already got another piece that's black and white in the same room that I did this on the sides. So I'm not too big on matchy-matchy, but you know, you can get a little crazy with doing every piece of furniture something completely different in a room, and we just decided maybe not get too crazy. So black and white it is. And this way we can accent with different things. Find that one accent color we want to work with for now, but then you can change up the whole look just by changing the accent color, and the black and white was pretty classic. So I had high hopes to get this done in a weekend, and then my weekend got a little insane. So here we are on Monday, and still thinking I can finish this piece in a day, if life doesn't get in the way too much. All right, that is pretty much gonna do it. Again, I didn't really use that much paint. So, I mean, for everything I've done so far, I barely busted into this 8-ounce jar of paint. So, not quite dry yet, so we're gonna give you a break and come back when it's dry and do one more coat. Okay, so while you were gone, I went ahead and painted the second coat of caviar, which is the black, on top of here. And then I went ahead, since all this is really tedious work, I went ahead and then did the gold gemstone mousse all around the edge. But I thought I'd wait for the big reveal, and this is it. I love doing this. There's something so satisfying about taking the tape off. So I did this close enough for that circle. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. Woohoo. All right. So I got a couple of touch-ups I'm going to need to do. Got a little enthusiastic over here. A little wild ride. And a dot over there. But overall, that technique really works. So I love the crispness of the lines. You know, we're all searching for perfection, and we got to remember hand-painted. The charm of hand-painted is that it's hand-painted. It's not perfect. But, all right, so what I'm going to do to tie all this together is to go ahead and lay down a circle. And I'm not being so hugely precise about this, so if you're OCD on being precise, this is not the place you want to be, but all right, that looks pretty close. And what I'm going to do, because I tend to just jump around, is grab some tape, and I'm going to tape this down. So if it moves, so it won't move. That's the whole bottom line. So we'll go ahead and tape it. And as usual, I always got to remember, you got to kind of get the tackiness off it a little bit so it doesn't pull your paint back up. All right, tape around there. All these little tricks that you learn and then you forget to do because you're so excited about just getting forward or finishing a piece. But it's always good to take another minute and just do all the things you know you're supposed to do. All right, so the final countdown here, the final step is we're going to take our mousse and we're going to go ahead and just start painting our circle. So I'm gonna go all around the outside and hopefully the stencil will work out good and we'll get a crisp line of sorts on the outside. You know, you can use a sponge brush on this, but because I've got kind of a big surface here, I'm painting it. You know, you can do that tapping motion with a sponge brush, but what I'm trying to do here is just really get it all around and hopefully end up with a clean line all the way around. This is a thick stencil, so I keep feeling like I'm missing an edge there, but hopefully it'll be good. And then we're going to just paint right over. And you know, I keep saying this is a highly pigmented paint, and all that means is pigment is just how much color is loaded into the paint. All right, black is the most pigmented, white has no pigment basically in it, but this gold, or all these gemstone mousses, are so thickly pigmented with this metallic in them that you really normally only need one coat, and it goes over everything. The legs, the outside, did one coat. It's really nice. So all right, let's see how this is the first time I've used a stencil, so it's probably not good to do that without having tested it, but I'm hoping that I did this right. Okay, so now we're going to get all the tape up. And the nice thing about mousse and stencils is that it's thicker than paint, so it won't run. And not bad. I got a little touch up to do, but not bad. I may do a second coat on there because you can see the edges, the thick paint of the edges on the black. But I think if I stand back, that's not a bad effect. Like I said, some touch up over here and there. And we have our black and white and gold table. Ta-da!